This video goes out to all the 90s kids. Do you guys remember Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Blockbuster, 9/11? And other than being a national tragedy, 9/11 is actually relevant to today's topic, since it kind of changed the face of horror film for the entire 2000s era. Adding to that the monster success of a franchise like Saw, that is what gave birth to today's film, Hostel. Second feature film by Eli Roth. You might be surprised that I'm actually covering this film since it's really mainstream. But when you really break it down, and when you break down a lot of films from this era, they kind of feel out of place, especially if you're familiar with horror films of the 2010s where everything was PG-13 and extremely sanitized.
Did we come all the way to Europe just to smoke pot? Hey, I come all the way from Iceland, man.
After a promising opening sequence, we get to meet our characters, and that's where the movie loses me. I'll start from, best to worst, and the first one and the best character in this film, who sadly dies first, is Ollie. He's this Icelandic dude who might be a little too old to hang out with our main characters, but overall, he's just a goofy goober. He's just there to have fun, and he likes to pull pranks that aren't douchey. And then we have Josh, our second main character, and the second one to die, and he's not great. There are some interesting theories about this film that Josh might secretly be in the closet, which would explain why he's so aggressive whenever he has contacts with other male characters. However, that would imply subtlety and clever writing. None of that is Eli Roth's strong suit, especially not when you consider lines like this.
God, I hope bestiality is legal in Amsterdam because that girl's a f***ing hog.
How the hell are we supposed to understand this without subtitles? Fucking gay.
And finally, Paxton. Paxton, with the help of Eli Roth's terrible dialogue writing, might ruin this movie. He is one of the most unbearable characters ever to be put on screen, and the issue is, he dies last, and not only does he die last, he doesn't die at all. He is our main character. He's the one who's supposed to be the face of this film. Anyways, our group of college kids and Ollie are in Amsterdam, cause bro, I wanna get stoned and I wanna get some chicks. I'm sorry, but that's so like early 2000s American teen comedy, like, oh, let's go to Amsterdam, weed is legal there, yeah, and I heard they got some chicks. It's just the entire film's dialogue is like that. And that's what they do. They go to a smoke bar, they shoot the crap, and then we get an Eli Roth cameo, and he's of course playing a loud American douchebag because self-insert, I guess, and then they go away. Later that night, they go to a Amsterdam club, and that's where we get some dialogue between our main characters. So Josh is wearing a fanny pack, and Paxton isn't a fan of that. He's like, bro, you really think you're gonna get some chicks with that fanny pack? Yeah, Paxton, because there's one thing women hate, and that's convenient clothing accessories.
Why don't you go over and have fanny pack sex with them, and then you can all over each other's storage compartment?
Of course, he throws some slurs in there, but I'm not gonna get too hung up on those. It was the early 2000s, even though I watch movies from the 60s to the 90s, and they don't use that word that often, but Eli Roth. Eventually, Josh bumps into a guy, they get into a fight, and then they get kicked out. And they react by going to Amsterdam's red light district. And then Ollie's like, come on Josh, I'm gonna get you a girl. But then we realize that Josh is heartbroken. He's been broken up with. I don't know why, he's such a charming guy. Anyways, the boys do what the boys do, but Josh doesn't want to, cause again, he's heartbroken. They go back to the hostel, realize that the door is locked, then they get rowdy, the neighbors get upset, and then they find themselves in some random dude's apartment. The dude asks the group where they're planning to go next, and they say, well, Barcelona. But then the dude is like, man, you don't want to go to Barcelona. You won't get any chicks there. And then you're getting suspicious. Then he takes out a camera and shows them pictures of women he's been with. And damn, this guy's pulling a lot of tail. A lot of hot Eastern European tail. And then he tells them his secret. He's like, in Eastern Europe, they have women who can just hear your American accent and they will fuck you. And then of course all our boys are like, oh, what? Sex, okay, let's book a train to Slovakia. And the next scene, they're on a train and they're going to Slovakia. Why? Cause they got chicks over there, bud. And on the train, they again shoot the crap, and then they meet this guy who's like old and like Eastern European, ew. And he sits next to them on a train, and then they talk, and then he takes out a picture of his kid. Then we learn that Ollie has a kid, because since the movie is so poorly written, it needs to throw every cliche it can at the audience to make the character look semi-empathetic. Then Josh talks with the old man, and then the old man touches his leg. Ugh, gay. So he gets upset, screams at him, because that's what human beings do, and then the guy leaves. Then they get to their destination. Oh, sorry people, Eastern European jump scare. And then they take a taxi to this apparent hostel where any woman will have sex with you if you sound somewhat foreign, I guess. Then the characters get weirded out by the stupidest things, like they get creeped out by the fact that there's abandoned plants and factories. They're like, oh, what are those? Those, my friends, are abandoned factories. Oh, abandoned factories? Like, you're American. You have Detroit. You should know about abandoned factories. Then they get to the beautiful city of it's Slovakia. It doesn't really matter. The entire film's concept is foreign scary, so they could be in Slovakia, Lithuania, Poland. Like, it doesn't really matter. And they get to the hostel, and then they have to share rooms with other people. So Paxton's reaction is, of course, calling that gay. Until they realize that they're rooming with beautiful Eastern European women. And they, of course, change their tunes. They're like, you never mind, this whole rooming together thing is pretty dope. The ladies invite the guys to the spa, and of course they say yes, because this movie needs nudity. It can't really hold the viewer's attention with character, story, or dialogue. And that's what they do, and then in the spa they fall in love, because conveniently enough there are 3 dudes and 3 women. Paxton has this blonde girl, Josh has this brunette, Ollie, I don't really remember what he has because he doesn't last long.
Put your anteater away, it's totally creepy.
Then they go to party, man. It's time to party. We're gonna get some chicks, we're gonna get laid, we're gonna get crunked. So that's what they do. Josh is still crying about his ex-girlfriend, which kind of turns the vibe down. So he goes outside and he meets the old guy from the train, and he actually apologizes for the way he treated him. Thank you, Josh. Nice redeemable character arc. So they talk and they make up and they get along well. And then the lady comes up and she's like, oh, I'm just gonna take him away from you. I got, a vagina that is wet right now. So, So then they go back to the hostel, they hook up, Ollie gets dragged away from the room by his girlfriend, I guess, and the next day, Ollie's disappeared. But where is Ollie? Then they go downstairs, and they meet this Japanese woman, who apparently her friend is gone too. And apparently, the Japanese girl is gone with Ollie, because Ollie sent a picture of him with her in this very poorly made Photoshop job. Then we do actually see whatever happened to Ollie. He got killed. Because you see, Hostel is about this group of people who buy other people to murder them in a factory, abandoned of course, in Slovakia. The second Hostel kind of goes more into that backstory, but the first one we kind of just assume that that's what it is. Anyways, they talk, and again the movie tries to make its character empathetic with a story from Paxton about a girl that whenever he was a kid drowned in front of him and blah 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 blah. Then we see the group of kids again. By the way, this movie just has a group of kids that are gangsters that if you don't give them bubble gum they will beat you up. I know it's stupid, just deal with it. And then Josh, because he met them last night, knows to actually give them candy, which he does. then Josh is really bummed out, because Josh is always bummed out. Like, bro, you're here to have sex with some Eastern European chicks. Cheer up, bro. And that's exactly what Paxton tells him. He's like, okay, we'll go back to Barcelona, but come on, we could spend the night with these chicks and then fuck them right up there, and then tomorrow we leave. And we get that Japanese girl that's sad that her friend disappeared too. So that's what they do. That night they go back to the bar, you know, they get crunked, and then Josh is like, man, I gotta go back. And then Josh goes back and falls asleep, but oh, he's the next one to die. Paxton, meanwhile, falls asleep in a closet. That's probably symbolism for something. Then he wakes up the next day, but then at the hostel, his friend has already checked out. So he freaks out, he tells the guy, yo man, I need a room. Then he goes to the room, and then there's two brand new girls who are like, oh hey, welcome to the hostel. And then he figures that there's something wrong. Outside he sees one of his lady friend leave in a taxi, so he follows that taxi, which leads him to a bar in a town that looks decrepit. And then it gets scarier because he gets into the bar and he sees our two ladies, but they don't have makeup. Women without makeup jump scare. Then he starts asking questions, and then the ladies are like, your friend's gone to art exhibit, I'll bring you to art exhibit. Then he goes to the art exhibit, which is an abandoned factory, and then we get to see Takashi Miike, probably the best thing about this film. Then Paxton walks a lonely road on the boulevard of broken dreams, and he sees that people are getting tortured, and then the girl is like, oh, surprise bitch, I am selling you, you are gonna die. And then Paxton's like, no, oh no, because he's a great actor. And then he gets kidnapped, and then he gets put into the chair, and then a guy is attempting to kill him, but the guy is not super great at his job. He's also German. Then he takes out a chainsaw, he cuts Paxton's finger, but he slips on the finger, and then he cuts himself with the chainsaw. Then Paxton steals his gun, shoots him, and then he escapes. And the third act is my favorite part. It actually has some suspense. We get to see Paxton try to run away. We get to see him actually save the Japanese girl. The only problem with that scene is that the effect of the Japanese girl's eye hanging from her face looks so bad. Like, so bad. Which kind of is out of place for this film, because the special effects are significant, like, great. They're great. Then, you know, Paxton, he dresses up, he meets another guy who's my favorite character from this film. He's this super cranked up American guy, like really looking for a thrill. He's super energetic. I love that guy. I don't remember his name, but I'm pretty sure he's also in Hostel 2, and I think he's also in Thanksgiving.
You know, I just fucked a girl 2 days ago, and I don't even remember the color of her tits.
Then, magically, and you kind of have to excuse this film for that, because it has a lot of what we call convenience. Paxton gets away, steals a car, he gets shot at, he sees the two girls, and then hits them with a car. Then him and the Japanese lady get on a train. However, the Japanese lady sees her face, and she realizes that she doesn't really have one anymore. So in this very unintentionally comedic scene, she jumps in front of a train that's not going that fast. Paxton gets on the train because he escapes the police, because of course this is Eastern Europe. Police is corrupt. They're with the gangsters who are selling these travelers for murder. He gets away, but on the train he sees the guy that killed Josh, you know, the guy that was getting handsy, so he enacts a revenge. And again, this is another part of the film that I really like. I like this revenge aspect, and he does him so dirty, it's beautiful. Again, special effects, wonderful. It's not my problem with the film. And that's how the film ends. Usually at this point of the video, I have a witty joke or witty remark that makes it a good transition to the conclusion. However, the fact that this film was so successful is a joke on itself, so yeah, here's my conclusion.
The king of the swing.
You made a reservation under the king of the swing?
So, what did I think of Hostel? Man, I do not like this movie. I thought I did, because last time I watched this, I really enjoyed it. However, I was intoxicated, which might explain why I liked it so much. And I know this film has quite the following, especially for people who grew up with it, and if you like it, it's fine. I'm not gonna get angry. This isn't just me shitting on the movie that you love. Don't take it personally. There's movies I love that people keep shitting on. It's just what I do. In fact, it's not usually what I do. I like to keep it positive, and I came into this video thinking it would be a positive review for Hostel, and then I put it in, and I remembered everything, and I thought to myself, gee whiz, I like Hostel 2 better. I'm not like this guy that hates Eli Roth. I'm like, rah rah rah. I just think that most of his films aren't for me. But then again, I love Hostel 2. Hostel 2 is so much fun, and that I think is the difference between the first one and the second one, and maybe eventually I'll cover the second one, is that this one takes itself way too seriously. This thinks that it's making a statement. And again, I don't want to just shit on Roth to shit on Roth, but he's not a good enough writer or filmmaker to make a serious film with a message. So yeah, Hostel, not my favorite. However, Hostel 2, pretty good. That's it. That's my video. Jesus Christ, I've been recording for 30 minutes and I thought to myself, I'm gonna make this short, but no. No! I can't make anything short, I'm stupid.